Everybody, you're requested to please be seated. All of you, please be seated.
Hello.
Hello, Somraj.
Guys, please settle down. Settle down fast.
Hello. Hello. Distinguished guests, members of faculty, and my fellow future managers, a very good afternoon to all. Welcome to the second day of Conventus 2016, the annual management conclave of International Management Institute, New Delhi. I, Dipayan Pal, and my co-compare
Anubhuti Garg.
will take you through this session of the Consulting and Strategy Club of IMI. This year, Conventus is structured around the theme Transforming Corporate India, Transcending Innovation Towards Strategic Sustenance. India today is in uncharted waters with never seen before growth in the business world, and the increasing number of startups, SPUs, and subsidiaries adding to the burgeoning number of businesses in the country. Innovation is no longer sufficient for any business to survive, let alone to be able to thrive. Corporate India needs to strategize its vision for the future with sustenance in mind. With a multitude of companies now offering the same product offered earlier by just a few, it's understandable that the life cycle has considerably reduced. However, this shouldn't be taken as an excuse to give up, rather as a challenge to overcome. All that needs to be done is to strategize the corporate world in whichever way it suits businesses, such that they transcend beyond innovation and enter into the realm of strategic sustenance. Hence, the industries should prepare for the long term survival in today's fast changing and constantly evolving space. Before we proceed further into the session, let us have a look at the Conventus video.
The topic for discussion in this session is: Can lean management and strategic reinvention counter the fast changes in corporate economies? In today's world, the pace of reinvention and innovation has increased phenomenally, and the economic cycles are dipping from earlier decades to a matter of years and now even months. A small tweak triggers immense change in the market and changes the dynamics forever. In such a scenario, planning and strategy plays a key role in making sure the company is proactive and stays ahead of the curve. Lean management is a long term approach to systematically make incremental changes in processes to improve efficiency and quality, whereas strategic reinvention is to build a dynamically adaptive long term strategy. Whether Microsoft's shift from product focused to service focused or IBM's transformation from hardware to software services, the underlying need is the same to reinvent and sustain. The Consulting and Strategy Club at IMI New Delhi aims to focus on the changing business cycles and the need for sustenance in this dynamic scenario. In the light of the main theme of Conventus 2016, the Consulting and Strategy Club wishes to discuss how lean management and strategic reinvention can counter the fast changes in corporate economies. To provide us more insights into this topic, we are honored to have amongst us four very eminent personalities: Mr. Tushar Makkar, Mr. V.K. Verma, Mr. Ashish Masand, and Mr. Piyush Patodia. To give us more information on today's session, I would now like to call upon Deepak and Manogna from Consulting and Strategy Club to make a brief presentation and a video on the session.
A very good afternoon to the esteemed panelists, respected faculty members, and future managers. I, Deepak Bhandari, along with my colleague Manogna Gotipati, welcome you to the Strategy Summit at Conventus 2016 on Lean Management and Strategic Reinvention.
Today's summit is about how lean management and strategic reinvention will help transform corporate India to transcend innovation towards strategic sustenance. The ever-changing global environment has been posing challenges of competitiveness and survival to all the constituents of economy. Economic cycles, which are natural fluctuations of economy between periods of growth and recession, act as a major contributor to this ever-changing global environment. A series of growing or shrinking periods of economic cycles can be measured by increase and decrease in real GDP. All business decisions revolve around the economic cycle. That is, if the economy is shrinking, the management decides to cut down on costs and consolidate. But in the last 50 years, it has been observed that the economic cycles have dipped from 7 to 8 years to 1.5 to 2 years. These economic cycles, along with other factors, impact business cycles. For some industries, these business cycles have dipped to as low as a few months. As a result of this, it is essential that companies start implementing methods to overcome the disruption caused.
Apart from the business cycles, another factor affecting the corporate economies is the uncertainty surrounding rapid innovations. Let us take a look at the smartphone market. With every passing year, the features offered by smartphones are becoming better and better. Of course, Apple is the one name that comes to our mind when we think about how the smartphone market has been revolutionized. Apple's original iOS and the interface laid the necessary foundation that allowed the rest of the future mobile and smartphone devices to propagate and thrive. The first iOS did not boast about 3G connectivity or GPS or great picture or video quality. But what Apple succeeded at was the touchscreen environment and was followed suit by other mobile phone companies. However, within a span of 9 years, the smartphone market has gone from 2 megapixel cameras to 32 megapixel cameras, single core to octa-core processors, 3-inch to 6-inch screens, resistive touch to capacitive touch to now 3D touch. And this all we get in a decent price range to choose from. The iPhone that once did not support 3G technology now boasts of LTE support, Siri, Touch ID, and many more advanced features. All this being the result of rapid technological innovations. But were all the companies able to adapt to this rapid innovation?
Not long ago, Nokia was world's dominant and pace-setting mobile phone maker. However, it is well known that Nokia was crushed by fast-growing competition. The problem was Nokia's inability to innovate itself. So, until 2007, Nokia, that enjoyed approximately 50% profits of the mobile phone industry, had a meager 3.5% market share in 2012. In a world where miracles become commonplace in a matter of time, how do companies like Google and Microsoft maintain a spirit of innovation? These technological giants seem to have found a way through the classic innovator's dilemma, whether to invest in brand new products or improve existing ones. Apparently, they believe in doing both and in the process learn from their experiences. Yahoo, which charged for email and file sharing when web search was in its initial stages, offered a wide range of services like Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, Yahoo Calendar, etc., and enjoyed market dominance. Then came Google, offering a wider variety of services ranging from integrated search engine to Google Glass, driverless car, Google Street View, etc. Google rapidly innovated itself, while Yahoo failed to do that. Yahoo's downward journey can be traced back to mid 2000s. In 2002, Yahoo had the might to buy Google for $5 billion. And in 2008, Microsoft proposed to acquire Yahoo for $45 billion. Eventually, Verizon bought Yahoo for $4.8 billion. It indeed is a wake up call to all the organizations across the globe, a trend that suggests downfall if a company misses the last bus to innovation.
Now, the big question is, can lean management and strategic reinvention counter the fast changes in corporate economies? But before that, let us try to answer this question. What is lean management? Lean is an approach that supports the concept of continuous improvement, a long term approach that systematically seeks to achieve small incremental changes to improve efficiency and quality. While some organizations in the country have initiated lean management concepts and have started to reap the benefits, most of the other organizations in the country have not yet achieved it. The concept and techniques of lean management is still novel to most of the organizations. The Toyota Motor Corporation of Japan developed the lean system. The purpose was to come out with a highly effective and efficient manufacturing system of producing cars and vehicles with high quality, low cost, and fast delivery through the elimination of all forms of waste. Based on non-traditional concepts, the method enabled Toyota Motor Corporation to compete in the highly competitive global market by maximizing the use of scarce and expensive resources.
Now, coming to the next question, what is strategic reinvention? Every company goes through a phase of stagnant growth, and strategic reinvention is what helps a company overcome this phase and emerge successful. Let us try and understand it with the help of Tesla's success story and Kodak's failure story. Kodak, best known for photographic film products, held a dominant position in the 20th century. An extensive research was conducted by Kodak to understand the change to digital photography. The results of the study were quite surprising for Kodak. Firstly, they realized that digital photography had the potential capability to replace the established film based business, with the only solace being that they had roughly 10 years to prepare for the transition. However, Kodak management's inability to see digital photography as a disruptive technology, or to put it more subtly, Kodak's inability to reinvent its strategy ultimately paved way for its decline. Barely a decade old, Tesla is already huge. So, how did Tesla flourish when others flopped? With Tesla, the strategy was clear. They wanted to begin with a two-seater electric sports car and then slowly move into more accessible markets. They believed that electric motors allow cars to do things that internal combustion engines are terrible at, such as generating oodles of torque the moment you stomp your foot on the accelerator or employing regenerative braking. The reason for Tesla's success is simple. The strategy of constantly understanding the current trends and reinventing and accordingly catering to the needs of their customers.
We are sure that by the end of today's discussion, we all will be enlightened by our esteemed panelists if lean management and strategic reinvention can counter the fast changes in corporate economies. We would now like to present a short video that captures the essence of today's topic.
Thank you, Deepak and Monogna. I guess the tone is very well set for today's session. Our first panelist for the day is Mr. Tushar Makkar, Director, Strategy and Communication at SAP India. Mr. Makkar has been part of the communication, PR, and marketing industry in India for 20 years, playing the role of an advisor, business leader, communications trainer, and thought leader. He has worked across diverse facets of communication over these years, covering PR, analyst relations, social media, crisis management, public affairs and issues management, brand and product communication, internal and executive communication. He has been leading corporate communication for Microsoft's commercial businesses in India over 7 years. Over these years, Microsoft has established its image as a leading cloud services provider, has been recognized as a top MNC, most respected company, and a leading provider of software by several reputed bodies. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would now request Professor Sonu Goel to present you with a bouquet. We cordially welcome you, sir.
It gives me great honor to introduce our next panelist, Mr. V.K. Verma. He is the Executive Director at Oil India Limited. Sri Verma has obtained his post-graduation in Personal Management and Industrial Relations from Xavier Institute of Social Service, Ranchi. Later on, he has also completed his Bachelor of Law. Sri Verma started his career in 1982 from BHEL and subsequently joined Oil India Limited. Out of his 33.5 years of experience, he has spent 33 years in Oil India Limited. For a very long period, he was associated with the Industrial Relations Department of Oil India's field headquarters in Northeast. During his tenure in the Industrial Relations and T&D departments, he had a unique distinction of getting ISO 9001-2008 certification for the Industrial Relations as well as T&D departments respectively. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. Respect, we would now request Professor Arun Rath to present you with a bouquet. We cordially welcome you, sir. It gives me great honor to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Ashish Masan, Strategic Business Director of India and Ocean region at Siemens. For more than 26 years, Mr. Ashish Masan has held leadership positions across various technology product companies. Mr. Masan has a bachelor degree in electronic engineering, masters in business administration, and executive masters in international business management. He has also attended various executive management programs and is a keen follower of emerging technology as to how it shapes up businesses and emerging business innovations in the ever changing world economy and advising companies on strategic growth initiatives. As Strategic Business Director and Director for Channel Development for India, ANZ and ASEN for the Siemens Industry Software, he is responsible for various strategic initiatives and channel ecosystem development across multiple countries. Sir, we are privileged to have you here with us today. As a token of our respect, we would now request Professor G.K. Agarwal to present you with a bouquet. We cordially welcome you, sir.
Our moderator for the session is Mr. Piyush Patodia. Mr. Patodia has over 17 years of management consulting experience and was a partner with Grant Thornton India in his last stint, advising clients in the areas of strategy formulation and implementation, business planning and re-engineering, industry studies, and policy formulation, among others. Prior to joining GT, he worked with the business advisory practice of Ernst& Young for 5 years besides starting and running a BPO, Copal Partners, and a brief stint at Hewitt Associates. During his consulting career, he has advised a large number of clients that include both startup and mature organizations in conceptualizing their future strategy and planning their next steps. He has extensive experience in IT, media and entertainment, food and beverage, and telecommunications sectors, having worked with clients across industries. He is also a domain expert on global sourcing, where he has assisted a number of large foreign companies in setting up their operations in India. Mr. Potodia was an integral part of a leading international consulting firm's global sourcing practice and has also set up a large financial research-based BPO in India in his prior roles. He is a member of FICCI's National Executive Committee and also heads the task force on food services and retail. As a token of our respect, we would now request Professor Ashutosh Khanna to present him with a bouquet. We cordially welcome you, sir. Without further ado, I once again welcome all the guests and request Mr. Piyush Patodia to kindly initiate the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a warm welcome and welcome my esteemed panelists. Uh, I think this presentation, the video has been quite well set. Always a very tough session post lunch. You know, you're feeling sleepy. I noticed you've got your nutrition partner is India Gate, so rice khaya hai, अच्छी नींद आएगी, so बढ़िया है. और ये strategy का session है. So anyways, you're going to feel sleepy. You'll feel drowsy. Everybody's going to be yawning. So good water is there, and we'll try and make it more interactive so that you don't feel drowsy. But so good enough. I think the session has been set. The tone has been set very clearly by the presentation. Um, we would like to make it interactive. Strategy as a topic is very difficult, and I'm very honored to have such experienced persons as my panelists. We'll try and make it as simple, and we'll try and see what is the best course forward for most corporates. How do they work? What has been the experience? And we'll try and enumerate in those. But I'd just like to talk about a couple of things before we get into some of the questions. I think um, you talked about the entire revolutionizing the smartphone economy. Do you know that there is an entire, see, we change smartphones because some component goes bad or some component is now out of date. Google is already on the project. It's about the commercial launch is expected. I think it's called Google Aria or something. I don't remember. But that is a swappable phone. So you can swap a display if the display is right. If you want to swap a camera, you'll swap it. You want more RAM in it, swap it. And that's the kind of innovation that's taking place. And it's not taken decades to reach that. Earlier on, the innovation used to take decades. I mean, for example, the paraffin wax industry failed because GE invented the light bulb, right? So that's the innovation that happened. But it used to take decades. Today, it takes a matter of not even minutes. Every day, we are in a startup economy. Every day, there's somebody who's trying to address some pain point, and you don't know where the disruption takes place. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure a lot of you would follow or even play, but there is this entire phenomenon which has taken over the world, which is called Pokemon Go. Now that's something which is augmented reality. Nobody even knew what augmented reality was. People used to talk about virtual reality. Now there's an entire segment which has been created by a disruption which has taken place by one tweak of something. And that's the level of thinking that's going on today. And that scares everybody because startups can come up with an idea, can come up with a lot of good suggestions, but at the end of the day, it's the large corporates who have to adapt to it very quickly if they have to survive in the future. And that's what we want to talk about today. So I would like to just ask our panelists as to, in their own experience with the current company as well as some of the earlier companies that they've been involved with, what has been their experience in terms of what kind of changes they've seen in the past and how have they actually reacted to it, say last decade or even last 5 years. And we can start with Mr. Verma, what has been your experience of the kind of changes that you've seen in the business environment, and how has your company actually started to adopt?
Uh, Respected Dr. Rath and all the esteemed guests and all the students and other faculty members. The point which has been raised throughout my career, I can say that I was always used to harp without knowing what is the lean management. Because lean management word only I came to know when IMI informed me. But then the definition which was elaborated on the screen, then I was just matching what I did in the past or what we were doing in our organization. It was virtually a lean management. It's nice that I could develop myself on that particular point. See, any organization, my example will come from the mostly HR field because I am basically HR man. Strategic reinventions you say or innovation you say, because I believe that if the today's officers joining any organizations, they do not come with the innovative ideas, they are as equal to nothing then. See, the company invests so much amount today. C2C, if you see, uh, when the entrance level around 30 to 40 lakhs per annum it is going. The company does not engage a student or it does not engage a candidate just for sake of doing normal job. What it is expected? That you must innovate ideas. And those organizations where the ideas are innovated, I can tell you nobody can stop not to rise. Now I will come back. When I joined Wild India, Wild industry, if anyone knows the ONGC or Wild India, if you know, then I only will know the how we work. We work boundaryless. We don't have boundary. Like refining, there is a boundary work. Within that, what refineries works. Or any, mostly, I was in BHEL, then their plant, thermal power plant, everything has a within the boundary. But then wild industry, wild exploration, there is no boundary. You don't know where you are going and from where you are operating. Unknown fields, you are meeting with the people. You are destroying their crops. You are destroying, damaging their houses. How you are damaging? The first stage of wild exploration is seismic survey. I will give you the example. My first induction when I got in Wild India, I was posted in Odisha. Also survey was going on. And my first placement in the field was near to the Cuttack, one area is called Kendrapara. My God. I was just as an admin officer fields. Why I am giving you this example? From there the innovation starts. And from where you start thinking what to do. Line was crossing and survey was going on. In this process, paddy fields were there and their crops were being damaged. So all the people they came. The worst problem for me, I was not knowing Uriya at all. Just 7 days. Except Hindi and English, I don't know. And there also people doesn't know the Hindi at that time. So only my instructions was there that all my camp attendants who were there, that we used to have a walkie-talkie, 7 kilometer distance, 3.5 kilometer ahead, 3.5 kilometer back. That wire goes and this, that you keep your walkie-talkie open always. So that if anything happens, at least anybody can listen. And we had a local boys as a camp attendants. The people came and they said, in उड़िया they started speaking कि आप हमारा डैमेज कर रहे हो ये. मैंने कहा कि पुलिस को बुला लो. That's all police word I read. They could only understand that, and you will not believe they put the daggers and everything here, throat here. Around more than 150 people. I was about to be killed. I don't know. But luckily, my instructions were carried out my attendants. On the line, they were there. So when they heard something, noise on the walkie-talkie, they understood that something goes wrong. Immediately they came. And after that, they took the charge of the entire scene there. And ultimately, when they made him to understand the people, they could understood the things, and then they brought the chair and coconut water, everything. But then, what was my innovations right from the beginning? Either you had an option, either you stop operation and you have engaged third party, a Canadian party, Geo, that who was carrying the paying huge amount in foreign exchange at that time. If you stop, who is going to suffer? It is your company is going to suffer. Does it mean that I should be there and I should ensure that all the operations should stop? No. From there, we made the strategy how to interact. Then, in advance, we used to send the people wherever the cable is passing through to make the people understand. That is one way, innovations. When I go in the organizations, when I took over as a industrial relations department at Northeast Assam, because bread and butter for the while India is from there. Right now, production, the major chunk of production is coming from the Assam. There the problem, because this company has inherited the legacy of Burma Oil Company. Because our DNA matches with the Burma Oil Company because we born from the Burma Oil. So we followed more or less same system. Recruitment in Oil India, technical recruitment virtually was negligible. Maximum recruitment taking class 8 pass. People used to think कि कोई जरूरत नहीं है बच्चे को पढ़ाने का. I will do some दादागिरी and मेरे बच्चे को नौकरी लग ही जाएगी. By the time pay revision took place, hefty amount. On joining in class 4, you are getting around 40,000 rupees. What you want more than? So any sorts of dadagiri, they will come with the revolver, everything in your house itself. When I took over, I said, this way the company has to run? How long we are going to have? We discuss and brought the innovations. Okay. Change the academic qualification. But people will not allow you. People will not allow you simply to change the way. If you do not change, then your organization is going to have an end. What we discuss, we said we bring the union in the matter. Because who are the unions? They are the local boys. Local persons who join the company, they are the representative body. And we asked the union, sign an agreement with us. And we made the qualification class 10 passed. We signed and kept the copy in our file. We could not dare that we should declare it because we are knowing that day we will declare, it will be havoc. Because I must tell you, in Northeast, our operations, when they declare Bandh not for 24 hours, 100 hours, 200 hours, 500 hours, while operations shut down. And you can imagine once in well producing well,
them, then you not only will be able to tide over that change that's hitting you on an ongoing basis, but you will continue to stay relevant for this set of people on an ongoing basis. But then the important thing is it has to be a continuous process. It can't be that I've done something today and then I've forgotten about it. Because the world is changing, people are changing as well. There was a time, of course, when people wanted to talk to their family members, friends, whatever, but obviously nobody thought that there could be a cell phone. But there is one, right? But that somebody took the pain of bringing that inner desire to the core and then creating certain thing around it. And today we see that's an industry by itself, and not by itself, but it's impacting business, life, a lot of other things. So
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know what? And you touched some very interesting points that uh, the continuous process of change and the continuous, and Mr. Vasant, you were also saying, and Mr. Verma, that one is leadership and a vision. And a vision is about the future. And I guess from my perspective, whenever I consult with companies, I always look at, okay, where is the company headed? Now that's always driven by a leader, and the leader will talk about, okay, I see an elephant in the room, and I see what part of the elephant I'm seeing. So that's the opportunity that the person sees, and then he defines that opportunity for the organization that he does. But I guess I want to go back to an example that was cited in this, and I differ from Mr. Verma in a bit to set the direction of the company, but it is the systems and processes that he puts in place that sustains the company over the longer period of time. And I take an example of Apple. Now, it's okay to know that Steve Jobs did a great job in putting the direction of the company as to become the innovator and to become ahead of the curve and to always look at user interface and blah, blah, blah. You've all read the book, you've seen the movie, I don't need to talk about it. But after him, the company still innovates. The company is still successful. The company still moves ahead. And that's not because Tim Cook is a great leader. It's because the systems and processes put in place today ensure that the innovation takes place continuously. It ensures that they stay ahead of the curve. Fine, they may not always win, they may not always have the right idea, but as a company, it's ingrained in them that yes, it works. And I want to get thoughts from Mr. Prasad. You've worked in multiple organizations. How important is this process of continuous change? And do you think that systems and processes really play a more important role than leadership, or is it the other way around?
Both are important. Uh, my experience tells me that both are important. Leader does play a very, very crucial role in setting up the vision and the pace, both. But the processes are the ones which help you sustain and retain. So, for example, uh, if you look at the the automotive sector, for example, in India. In the automotive sector in India, you will find that the way the CEOs today are thinking is the pace at which they are bringing in the change in the company, the pace at which they want their organization to innovate new products is far more faster, far more faster than what was earlier. We had Mahindra, for example, many years back, and we have Mahindra even today also. But Mahindra many years back used to launch maybe one Mahindra Jeep in 1 year or 2 years, but today they launch multiple products. Correct. Very we used to have Maruti um, launching one Maruti 800 and then multiple versions of that over many years. But today they launch multiple products. So the CEO definitely is important because they set the vision and the pace. And that is one of the most crucial guiding what you call factors, which I have seen from my own experience, basically. Very, very crucial. It's the process is important because without a process, I don't see there can be a sustenance. I don't see there can be a ability to retain and then grow further on it. Process helps you stay on track. Process helps you uh, uh, achieve many things. And for example, it can help you de-risk. It can help you um, what you call follow a particular. I would say it helps you take care of some of the important ingredients which you need to uh, get to put the whole brought together basically for achieving the end desired results. But process also helps, for example, in quality we're talking about. So process is kind of very, very important.
And from your perspective, we've heard Mr. Verma talk about leadership and how visionary leaders have defined organizations that he's worked with in the oil and gas sector. But from your perspective, leadership versus process, what are your thoughts?
So let me take an analogy and share my thoughts on this one. So cricket is like everybody's forte. Let me take an example from there. Let's say Dravid is batting out there and Tendulkar is the captain and it's a test match going on. Now, from a strategy perspective, you need to look at it's a 5-day game, right? And you likely are playing not a standalone 5-day game, but you're playing a test series, right? You typically would play a test series. But when you're out there planning, you not only plan for the 5 days of play, you plan for every session. You plan what will you do before lunch, what will you do between lunch and tea, and so on and so forth. Now, let's say Dravid is out there and he's batting. What will he be able to do by himself in the field except for just batting? But when you look at the overall strategy that's been worked out, let's say Tendulkar is sitting back in the dressing room. He has support from the coaches. He has the data analytics available with him. He has data analytics available about the opposing team as well. He has data about the weather conditions and everything with him. And therefore, from a decision-making perspective, where he is sitting, just the wherewithal of how to arrive at a decision and what decision to arrive at, he seems to be more equipped. Whereas a Dravid who's out there in the field is more aware of the playing conditions on the pitch. So both of them have to work in tandem. Nobody can kind of stand alone and say, I will bat well and I will win, or I will captain well and I will win. So the importance of leadership, therefore, number one is not being an isolated leader, but being a team player. That's number one. And I'll at this point bring in another aspect, which SAP's leader Bill McDermott, he wrote a book which is a bestseller by the name Winner's Dream, and he refers to something called player coach as an analogy. So what he says is that if you are a leader, it's good to be a coach, because you can't, for example, go for every sales deal, and there are people who will front end it, but you will be much more respected and accepted as a member of the team if you have the capability to do that. And there are times when you demonstrate it. And that's where you see a lot of these CEOs participating in these high value deals as well. Okay? Now let's go back to the cricket thing. So you have the data. Tendulkar is more equipped to arrive at some decisions, and so on and so forth. And let's try to relate that with a CEO in action. Why do you think the McKinseys of the world, the KPMGs of the world, and all these people make so much of money? Because the people who are advising a Tendulkar, these are those people who are advising CEOs. Because even the CEO, just because he's the CEO, needs advice. It's not that he'll work in isolation. He needs all the data, and which is why you see all these research firms in business, and you get research across various types. The important question to ask over there, though, is what research do I need? It's commonly said that, it's not important, or it's important to get the right information, but it's important to ask the right questions more than that. You may be getting the information, but if it's not the right information about what you are out to seek, then it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So even if you have all of this, the one thing that will define your organization's success or the leader's success is the gut. You have to have the gut to arrive at a decision and talk about it. If you don't have that, I mean, right or wrong, we can debate about it. The point is, Tendulkar did declare the innings when Dravid was batting in the 90s. He did do that. Right or wrong, he had the gut to do it. So as a leader, You have to have the guts to do it so that your people know that they can go out and fight it out with you.
Thank you so much. And there are several points there, but I think we'll run out of time and we won't be able to actually uh, open the house for questions. But before I do that, I want to touch on a very specific thing. It's a loaded question. It's good to be a moderator. I can ask all the loaded questions and get away with it. Now nobody can question me then, right? So it's a loaded question, and feel free to answer whatever you can. But from the three panelists, they're eminent persons in their own organizations, and all three are extremely large organizations, well respected. If you had to change, and if you were in the driving seat at this point, given whatever economic cycles are going on, policy cycles are going on, country economics are going on, social challenges are going on, and technological innovations are taking place, in this entire plethora or mess that you have, if you were to reinvent your own organization, what would be that one thing that, or one area that you would think about, and why would you actually want to do that? So we can start with Mr. Varma. How about yourself?
This is very difficult question, but then from HR perspective, I can tell you, if one choice if I have, then I would like to change the thinking of our employees. That is very much required, because by working day night in the shifts, if you do not expose them outside, they confine, their thinkings become narrow. They do not see other than the machines and production target, and they do not visualize anything. And that's very dangerous for any organization. So I would like to expose them outside, not in in-house programs, but outside programs, and as far as possible to discuss with them to their thinking process. I would like to change. And once the thinking process is changed or enhanced, automatically a lot of care will come. You will say production process or the drilling process or any other process, you can say. That is, your human resource is the main criteria, and that is what I feel. Thank you.
Mr. Masam?
So I wouldn't talk about my company because I'm not authorized to speak about what my company would change. Okay, sorry. Okay, but I would like to mention in general what my observation has been about many companies. Uh, Most of the companies miss out on being in close reality with the customer, and customer is the one which actually continuously gives you that feedback, that input, that real-time information basically as to what actually is their need, expectation, what are they looking for, and you are existing only because of your customer. Okay, whether you run your own business tomorrow or you become managers tomorrow, you got to be close to your customer. So the one thing which I would like to see as a change everywhere and many places and many products and services companies and so on and so forth, not my company, is uh, uh, how can we be very close to the customer? How can we be responsive to the customer? And how can we address what the customer wants satisfactorily? And that's what is missing in many, many companies today. That's what I see.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Makar?
So let me just pick up first on what you said, Mr. Basant, and then I'll share my views. So I'll share two examples from my current organization and from my previous organization. So as I said, I work with SAP. I used to work with Microsoft till some time back. And just on that point, at SAP, we have formally launched what we call a customer office. And there is a very senior person in the organization, a very old timer of the company. He has been designated the chief customer officer, so to that point. And at Microsoft, the company runs worldwide, and SAP. This is like not just in India, but it's across the world that we've done that. So, which is manifesting in India as well. At Microsoft, the company runs a practice which is called the CPE, which is the customer and partner experience, which is measured periodically. There are programs put in place periodically on an ongoing basis. And it's not that it happens like once a year. There is a dedicated team that runs that entire thing through the year. So just to bring examples that yes, that's a glaring need that is being felt in the industry. And coming back to the specific question that you put, see, one can look at it from various perspectives, but if one were to put a framework to it, I guess there would be three elements to it. It would be people, it would be processes, and it would be technology. From a people perspective, see, today's organizations are pretty flat, or they're trying to be flat. The expectations of people are changing. They don't want to be confined to a room or an office or a physical location. People want to be everywhere. They want to work out of their homes, what have you. So the point is that you need to enable people, but that also means you need to likely retrain them. You need to reskill them even behaviorally and so on. So that's a very, very significant point that you need to keep in your eye. On processes, I did mention earlier that there is a need to simplify processes, and there is a need to make people accountable on processes, and that's where the cross of the people and processes happens, because it's a very common phenomenon that you'll find in organizations, especially large organizations, where people, the term that we use is people hide behind processes. Oh, I did not do this because there was a process prevented me from doing this. But by the way, if the same person were to go deep in process, you'll find that the process will only enable to do it the right way, not the way you wanted to do it. But I haven't, in 20 years of my working life, I haven't come across a process which does not allow you to do things. Processes will only get you to do things the right way. So the idea is that you need to simplify processes so that you're able to cut out the flab. By flab, I mean the wastage which is out there. And I mentioned earlier that it's around $2 trillion is what the industry is estimating the annual wastage to be, just because of complex processes. The third thing is technology. And the way I see it, technology needs to play an enabling role. And by technology, I am not referring to just information technology. I'm going back to the plain, simple definition of technology that we all learned sitting in a room like this, probably the same one. Technology is really know-how. And from that standpoint, you need to really look back and ask yourselves, do I have the know-how to do something? And if I do have that, what will I do with it? How will I enable the processes, the people, other things in the organization, and make sure that you leverage that to arrive at a differentiating factor and not look at just your technology as a differentiating factor. Because whatever you're trying to do has to be sustainable. And the differentiation will only be sustainable if you are able to look at technology as an enabling factor and not as an end. It has to be a means to the end. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and I think those are really valuable points. I thank all the panelists for their points. But before any thanks, I'd like to open the house for questions. Anything that you may want to ask. The panelists are here. I'm here, so whatever. Open it for questions now. Yeah, that person. You want a mic? Small room, यार, you can speak up. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
So as I said earlier, that technology enables things, and you need to look at it like that. So whether you look at Digital India, whether you look and including processes. So whether you look at Digital India, Make in India, what have you, all these programs will be enabled with technology. Look at the cross of technology and Make in India. And if I were to use one term, that will be the cross of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and Make in India. That's called Industry 4.0. That's what the entire industry is looking at, which means how can I use sensors better, or where sensors are just not available, how can I use sensors to streamline my manufacturing? There are projects which are going on at this point of time where organizations are saying, I will put, so you may be familiar of a product called Kinect, which Microsoft has, which is basically a camera sensor. So there are projects which are going on where they're saying, can we put Kinect on the shop floor and observe how people are moving around on the manufacturing shop floor? And can we learn about, if we were to change that movement from X to Y, will we be more productive? On the machine part of it, when you have sensors embedded in the machines and that machine information is flowing back, you can do a lot of stuff with that. I mean, the least that is happening today is predictive maintenance. So for example, one of the customers that Microsoft has is is a large elevator company, and across the world for their elevators they put in sensors, and the sensor can tell them before an elevator is going to break down. So as you see the proliferation of this sensor technology getting into the manufacturing shop floor, you will see a lot of intelligence flowing back. And as you see the integration of what's happening on the shop floor with, for example, CRM technologies. So I have information from my customer information coming in into my CRM system, and I have to meet, let's say, my production schedules to live up to my customers' expectations, which are not only in terms of the numbers I'm producing, but also in terms of the quality I'm producing. That's where you'll see a cross of plant technology, information technology, artificial intelligence, and all of this come together. And which is why, where we are seeing these multiple things come together, the industry is talking of bots, right?
Just another point there. You know, whenever you look at policy, please don't look at policy from a perspective that it's standalone. As Mr. Masand was also saying, you have to look at policy of how it's, however, you know, it's very easy to judge the government and saying that, you know, this is a policy and they're ignoring everything else. But think of it as, I don't know if you ever watched some of these very good talent shows where earlier on, at least mere zamane mein, so there used to be a guy who'll have 3 sticks and he'll have plates twirling around these sticks. At some point of time, one plate will start to slow down. He'll go back to that stick and start twirling it again. It's the same way. You have 3 sticks, you have agriculture, services, and manufacturing. At some point of time, you increase the services to a level which is now the largest contributor to GDP. You need to boost up the other two. And it's like twirling the other sticks just to try and boost them up. Of course, everything is integrated at this point. Everything talks to each other. Technology will, as you were saying, it's a continuous flow, but you have to realize that policy as such, if it's promoting a particular idea or a sector, it's to do with those twirling sticks. That's it. Anyone else? Sorry.
Just want to add something to your question about Make in India stuff, basically, because we got to do a lot of with related to Make in India. So if you look at Make in India, the core the core reason why okay, how they want to make it successful is they first want to do skill building, and the skill building part is something which is happening throughout multiple states under the Make in India initiative. So that is one of the first and the foremost things which we are trying to do in the country, as a country, basically, that under the Make in India stuff, that we need to build the skill, and the government is actually doing that only. Because unless we don't have skilled people, we will not be able to, we will not be ready to use the new age technologies. Artificial intelligence is one element of that. IoT is one more element of that, but these are all what we call associates or byproducts of data. Correct. So there will be there is a trend which is emerging, which Mr. Makar said, which is about Industry 4.0. The Industry 4.0 actually emerged in 2011 in Germany, and Siemens is part of that incidentally. It emerged in Germany, and that Industry 4.0 initiative uh, is a much wider what you call initiative which is happening in Europe. That's primarily because, say for example, Germany realized that with the current level of production and many other things, they will not be able to sustain the desired growth which is happening, and therefore they will burn out. Burnout means they will start stagnating basically, and therefore they launched Industry 4.0. And this Industry 4.0 concept and initiatives will proliferate to multiple countries. And that is how many countries started realizing that we need to have our own make in make in the country kind of initiatives. So you see China also talking of the same stuff in their own language, basically in their own what you call rephrased manner, basically. You see Germany, you see US also saying, I want to make in my country many of the things. Basically, I want to stop buying many of these products and services from many other countries which I'm buying from. I'm not naming those countries. So the point is, so a lot of countries therefore want to do a make in their own country initiatives, and there will be a lots of there will be a lots of skill building happening because they want to upskill the sales force to be prepared for the new changes which are coming in the marketplace. Plus, there's a lot of digital disruption which actually is happening, and digitalization which is happening. Now, digitalization is a story which is about uh, digitalizing every part of the asset, or what you call touch point which you may have. And as part of that, you generate a lot of data, and you need to use that data intelligently to either fine tune your process or to uh, uh, devise your own innovation strategy, innovation approach, launch your product, go and service your customer, and across the whole value chain, basically. Okay, so it's so Industry 4.0, digitalization. These are all very widely and differently used words. Artificial intelligence is one of these portions of this, basically. That's all.
Thank you so much. We'll take one more question, I guess. Yeah, we'll take two more, so it's fine. Okay. I'll attempt at answering the second part first, and then I'll come back to the first part. And feel free, please, anybody to answer. Um, Plan A, B, C, D, E used to work earlier. It's only Plan A, and that's what you change. So if in 1 month there is a red flag which it arrives at, you change Plan A, because then Plan A, B, C, D, E are irrelevant. Case in point could be somebody, let's say, like a Moser Bear. It created capacities for compact discs, like it became the world's number one or number two. I don't know. I don't remember. Today, it doesn't. I mean, that's useless capacity for him. And that would be saying that, okay, I am taking a long-term vision, and saying this is going to be the future of data. And flash storage came in and changed the entire game. So you can't bank on B, C, D, E because you don't even know what is going to happen. And it depends on your industry. You, I was citing an example, you were not there, I think, in the beginning. Pokemon Go is augmented reality. Nobody even thought of augmented reality today. Today, this is the tip of the iceberg. It's like when Nintendo invented Wii, they talked about the first portion of gesture-based activities coming into play. And then you had Kinect, which did away with any remote control-based gestures. It just recognized this. And now you're seeing Kinect being used in multiple things. So the idea is that if it was at that point of time, PlayStation thinking about, okay, plan A, I will release this, plan B, I will release this. We came in to shut down all plans. So it's going to be plan A, and that's it. You have to change plan A. You cannot have backup plans, from my perspective. Anything else you guys want to add?
Yeah, so I think definitely we are in a phase where the business cycles are very short. And I do agree from a perspective that, you can likely have a plan A and a plan B, but clearly not a CDE because you may not have the flexibility for it. And the other way to look at it is that your plan B cannot be too divergent from plan A. You'll have to be in sync with, but the other way to look at it is when we used to have plan A, B, C, D, E, just the availability of data, the insights that we had, they likely were not that deep. Today, we are talking about not just decision making, but insights driven decision making. And therefore, we should be relatively or significantly more confident in plan A as compared to, just drawing up something and then saying I have 4 fallback options. The other way to also look at it is the industry is more ruthless today than it was. So if your plan A is not strong enough that you need 4 backup plans, then I don't know if you'll be accepted as a leader, so to say, that you have to have 4 backup plans.
In terms of your first question, which is diffuse leadership versus strategic thinking, how do you, well, it has to be driven by the leader. But I think, as even Mr. Masand was saying, and I think panelists have talked about it, it is a combination of both the leadership as well as systems and processes. See, if you have systems and processes down the line, it gives you enough, as you're saying, insights and data for the leader to take those decisions, whether those everybody's getting in sync, if some other, so for example, if marketing is running in a different direction than the rest of the team, then that systems and processes will design and define that red flag right up front. You wouldn't have to wait for 6 months review for it to actually come, and that's the entire point of a plan A and a plan A. That's.
So I think you need to put the design thinking part into context of the functional organization. For example, I don't think it will be fair for us to say that a sales team will go out and figure out inputs for product development, right? And likely some inputs may come in because we of course interact with people and so on. So you need to put it in context. So what is the outcome that you're trying to achieve? Yes, we are saying that these are like the inner desires of people in terms of what they expect from their business partners or product providers or service providers and so on, that we're trying to kind of unleash and unravel and figure out what can we do about it. But then we need to put that in context, and then it's not just leadership at the top, but leadership at every functional area that needs to own it. For example, if it's the sales organization, and if the customer's expectation is whatever from a sales organization engaging with them perspective, or differently from a customer service organization engaging with them, then that context will help you arrive at how you run, for example, a design thinking workshop with them. Because even when we are running a design thinking workshop, and by the way, we will be running a design thinking workshop with our own leadership in about 10 days time or less than 10 days time. So we sit down with the guys who are designing that entire program, whatever duration of the program is, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, depending on what we're trying to achieve. But then we put it into context. So what are we trying to achieve out of this? Because if you run a conceptual program it wouldn't get you the desired outcome. And in organizations, we all know that, eventually it's about achieving something within a certain amount of time. So I think it's about that contextualizing is extremely important. What are we trying to achieve out of this? We want sales effectiveness, or we want the customers to say that the sales guys are more effective. You are coming to me as salespeople, but by the way, you are not coming to me only to sell all the time. The way you engage with me is more caring. A live example of it could be, look at what the entire IT channel industry is going through today. With cloud computing coming in, their business model is just just being disrupted, because there was a sales organization that was used to selling literally CDs. You would go into an organization, you'll say, I'm selling you this software which has been launched 3 months back, 1 month back, 2 months back, latest version, does blah blah blah, buy it. And that person for the next 3 years, till the time the next version of the software is available, wouldn't even come to you. But today, the role of the same salesperson is consultative, because as organizations are buying similar products and solutions in the cloud, number one, organizations are not developing software on a 3-year cycle anymore. Updates are being delivered every 3 months, latest 3 months. It could be months, it could be 15 days or whatever, right? Your app on your phone doesn't get updated in 3 years. It gets updated probably every week. That's an example of, the pace of change that's coming in. And now look at the challenge that the business leader of a reseller, he has salespeople who have to be retrained. These people have to get into consultative selling and not transactional selling, because you will have to go to these customers of yours and say, I see that your cloud usage or your infrastructure usage is going at XYZ rate, and going by this rate, you'll expire, or you'll spend all your infrastructure in the next 15 days. Let's talk what you want to buy. Do you want to buy more storage? Do you want to buy more compute? What do you want to buy? So, and when you have to get people into that transformational mode, that's where design thinking really helps you, because you are able to unleash or unravel the expectations that the other people have whom you are engaging with.
Thank you. And sorry, sir, I'm just going to wrap up because we're already at 5 and I don't want to exceed the time. But first of all, I'd really like to thank Mr. Masan, Mr. Verma, and Mr. Makkar for joining us today, and for IMI to give us an opportunity to speak with you guys and discuss an interesting topic. Thank you.
On behalf of everyone present here, I express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Tushar Makkar, Mr. V.K. Verma, and Mr. Ashish Masan for taking out time from their busy schedule and sharing their thought-provoking insights with all of us. Thank you for the valuable knowledge you have imparted to us through this discussion. I'm sure that we shall keep in our minds all that you have said and imbibe this knowledge into the decisions as our future managers. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Piyush Patodia for consenting to be the moderator for the session and conducting the session in the highly coordinated manner.
Let us have a look at the key insights from this session. Mr. V.K. Verma pointed out the process-oriented innovations undertaken at Oil India Limited. Thank you, sir, for explaining the same. Mr. Tushar Makkar explained to us the concept of design thinking, to innovate according to the customer requirements, to innovate to touch human lives. Mr. Ashish Masan told us that uncertainty is the norm of life. You have to be prepared for it. Thank you, sir, for explaining the business cycles with respect to the various sectors like manufacturing, retailing, etc., and also giving an international perspective to it. He said, making sure your strategy is revisited very often. And last but not the least, Mr. Piyush Patodia, thank you, sir, for moderating the session in such an efficient manner, making sure how different parameters like change, leadership, systems and processes, innovation, etc., play an important role in the success of an organization were discussed in detail. We would now like to request our esteemed panelists and our moderator to sign the Conventus mug and write a short message for us.
Now we would like to present the distinguished speakers for the session with a small token of our appreciation. We would now request Professor Arvind Chaturvedi to present Mr. Tushar Makkar with a memento as a gesture of our gratitude. We would now request Professor Sonu Goyal to present Mr. V.K. Verma with a memento as a gesture of our gratitude. We would now request Professor Irfan Rizvi to present Mr. Ashish Masand with a memento as a gesture of our gratitude. We would now request Professor Ashutosh Khanna to present Mr. Piyush Patodia with a memento as a gesture of our gratitude. Sir, we were honored to have you all with us today, and it was surely a privilege listening to your valuable insights on the topic. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we conclude the session of the Strategy Summit. We were sure the session has been very enlightening for each and every one of you present here. On behalf of the Consulting and Strategy Club of IMI, I would like to take this opportunity to commend all the guests, participants, speakers, professors, students, and staff of IMI for making the session an unparalleled success, as well as the media persons for covering the event. We would also like to thank our sponsors for helping us in this endeavor. Our sponsors are co-sponsored by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, powered by Panasonic Smartphones, partners, nutrition partner India Gate, food partner Patent Harry and Burger.in, beverage partner Hector Beverages, website partner Acuity Software Private Limited, other sponsors American Express, CAT-B, Respite Holdings, Safe Pocket Money, NTPC, Allahabad Bank, Punjab National Bank, Pizza Hut, Uber. Thank you all. We request the guests and faculty members to proceed to the lobby area for snacks and tea. Students are requested to please stay back.